Hey everyone, Cam Roberts here. I'm joined with my good mate Steve Plummer, and we're coming to you live from this live stream today. Steve, welcome to the live stream.
Hey Cam, how you going?
Very good. Now today
Good. Hi,
you've
everyone.
prepared. Yep, sorry to jump in there.
Yep.
So today you've prepared a great some insights on the pandemonium and
Yes.
consumer trends. How consumer trends will change over the next 12 months or so.
Yeah.
So. What do you think is going to happen, and why did you pick this topic today?
Well, what do I think is going to happen? It changes every day, so I haven't got a freaking clue.
Yeah, right. That's right.
And I would challenge anyone who thinks that they know what's going to happen. I call BS on that, right?
Yeah.
Because it literally changes every day. Look, I think the way of doing things has changed forever, and we're all going to have to adapt. That's my take on it. The other reason for the topic today, Cam, I just got some research across my desk late last night, and I thought it'd just be great to share with everyone a little bit about what the research was showing. And so it's from this. It's not my research. I want to stress that it's from IAS, which is a marketing organization. They did a survey of 900 consumers, an online survey, 900 consumers in the US. Now, 900 is not a big sample size, but it's also not an insignificant sample size, right? So there are lessons that we can take from that. All right. So, and I just wanted to go through some of those lessons. By all means, Google the research yourself and have a look at it. But just wanted to take a few of the snippets and the highlights out. And see how they might inform business owners going forward.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I've got the presentation here on my phone, Steve. I'm looking at it there. Are you able to share? I'll just give you a minute. Can you kind of figure out how to do the share thing down the bottom with all the?
Yeah, I was just about to say to you, hey Cam, in our chat before we went live, we didn't work out the tech of sharing the screen. Hang on, let me have a crack at that. So
otherwise, I can quickly download it and grab it.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Give me a sec. All right. So that was.
You can tell, folks, that we're very professional where all of this is concerned, and
absolutely.
And we prepare for hours and hours. So that's good. Let me just change the format there. So if we do that, how's that, Steve? There we go.
I can't see anything. I can only see my my slides. So
that's okay. So the folks can see us and they can see your slides. So we're all good to go.
Excellent. All righty. So let's kick off. Hey. All right. So as I said, it's from Integral Ad Science, marketing organization, IAS for short, and their report was called "The Pandemic Effects: What's Next in Shifting Consumer Priorities." And the really interesting thing about this, Cam, there was some interesting stuff to come out of it, but there was also what I would say is not some overly unexpected revelations. And as we go through and unpack this, it'll become pretty evident. For example, look at this here. The question obviously was, in the past year, consumer behavior has shifted towards online shopping. Or the question gave this response, has shifted towards online shopping, dining at home, and delivery services. Now, that's kind of a bit of a duh, right? Because one, no one's been able to go out, and again, this is US, so we're always about 12, 18 months behind the US in just about every trend, right? But what happens in the US generally comes here, although there are exceptions. But that generally is how it is. But yeah, look at that. Online shopping, dining and preparing meals at home, and using delivery and pickup services. Now, again, if it had Zoom there, then that would have been another thing that was, everyone just went, yeah, well, okay, so what kind of thing? So that was more confirmation about what is going on in the world for me, in a statistical kind of way. A couple of other little things there. We're watching more online streaming services. Again, no surprises. The cashless part. One thing I did find a bit interesting was supporting local and small businesses.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to jump in on that. Although it's not one of the, ones over 50%, more than a third of the people are saying that, we're willing to support our local business, or that's where they want to shop, for whatever reason. So it's really good that people are getting behind their local community. Yeah. And, I just think more people need to do that in this day and age, right?
Totally. And that is one of I think the good news stories out of this research, right? That there is still an intent to support local businesses and local communities. Now, I will also add the caveat that intention does not equal outcome, right? So, excuse me. Yeah, intention does not equal outcome. What they intend and they say now may change in a month, 6 months, 12 months. But if the intention isn't there to start with, there's not much chance of it actually, happening in the future. So that to me was a really a ray of hope, I think, in all of the changes that we've had. And I think the big thing for me too is that change is the big thing, right? What was happening 5 years ago, you can chuck out most of that. That's gone.
That's right.
There are new things happening and new ways of doing business, new ways of marketing.
New things, new ways. Even the bottom one there, set up a home office, work from home, all the way to the top one there, like online shopping. So, in the past, you might have gone to work, driven to work for an hour or so. Your job doesn't exist at the moment if you're in lockdown. You don't have that income coming in, that dependable income, even if you're part-time somewhere. So, if you are thinking of selling online, there's never been a better time to sell something online to a hungry crowd of people who are stuck on their phones, looking at their phones and devices all day long, right? Without an argument. The online e-commerce business is booming.
Yeah. Well, I think the interesting for you and I, Cam, just on a personal note, nothing's changed, right? The only thing we don't do is meet up for coffee every week like we used to.
Yeah, that's right. So it's more lives. And, and I guess that's the benefit of, having a business that can pivot quickly as well, and be flexible. So even those people that kind of didn't operate online previously, like a gym, I can remember going back, it must have been 6 months prior to the first COVID conversations that people were having. And it was even before, it existed. I spoke to my then gym manager and I was just asking him, what are you doing online? And, he was like, oh, no, most of our business is, referrals and word of mouth. And I'm like, oh, well, you really should look at some content marketing. It'd be great to see you out there on Instagram and doing some stuff there and maybe having a digital thing that you can do online. And he said, no, we're pretty busy what we're doing here. And sure enough, I didn't predict what was going to happen, but had he and many others taken those steps to kind of go with those trends that were already happening, there would be many, health businesses and gyms that would be somewhat insulated to the loss that they've experienced with the shutting downs.
Yeah, I can remember that exact conversation you were telling me about, Cam, and we were going, gee, it's not just gyms though, is it? It's the accounting firm, it's the coffee shop, it's the then our minds just went and expanded out. So there's nothing really new there, but there's also stuff there that is good takeaways. Yeah, go on, Cam. I'll cut you off.
Sorry to jump in. I had a great conversation with a previous client that we worked together about 2 years ago, and they were telling me yesterday that they're a law firm and they are looking at creating digital courses and online trainings for their clients as well. And so again, it's that process. You've got to pivot to profit in this day and age.
What's a nice phrase, Cam? Pivot to profit.
Pivot to profit. There you go.
Yeah, TM Cam Roberts. Yeah, nice. All right, this was another interesting, interesting takeaway. Cam, is that 83% of consumers will continue doing at least one activity they did more often in the past year.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is. So I guess the challenge for a business owner here is how can you leverage that? We know, and here's the thing, right? We know it's really hard to change human behavior, but what is probably just as hard is changing human behavior back to the way it was, right?
Habits.
Now, that's right. Now you think about it. If you thought you were doing this, you're going to be doing this, 5 years ago, all day or every day. And then someone suddenly says, now put your phone down, don't look at it for 6 hours. You kind of start having withdrawal symptoms, right? So I guess the big thing with this slide is how can you leverage that, right? The behavior has changed. They are saying they are going to keep doing something new. How can you leverage that in your business? Is again the online course, the online training, the online shop front, if you like, is the obvious one. But I would just challenge everyone listening to think a bit deeper than that. How can you leverage that trend that is not going away?
Yeah, Zoom, for instance, right? We're on a live stream at the moment. How could you leverage Zoom and content publishing in that sort of capacity? So when people do, like you're right. When and if this all goes away, people then go back to their somewhat normal lives. Can you still use the technologies in some way, shape, or form to benefit your business?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a really interesting one. Example, seminar industry, right? It's much cheaper, easier doing an online thing than hiring a room and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Less connection, admittedly, that's a trade-off. But maybe you're going to do a mix of those things in the future.
Yeah. Well, I've even seen a mix of those now, Steve. There's seminars coming out from the States where they're giving people two ticket options. The tickets are the same price. Whether you attend in person or online, it's the same price.
Yeah.
They still have their breakout rooms. So, in many ways, the attraction to sit at home in your pajamas on your own comfortable couch with your own stuff around you, like for me, I'm thinking, I could watch that on my big TV and sit back in the lounge and take notes, or I could fly halfway around the world and sit in a little chair for 8 hours a day. So I can go home to bed.
Point, eh?
I can go home to bed at night in my own bed, still learn all of the same things. So it's a very interesting model.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit different around the bar at the end of the day, but
of course, I think I'd just fly out there just for the end of the bar thing.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, all right. So let's have a look, delve a bit deeper into some more good news here. So 61% of consumers say they plan to be more mindful of their spending in the next year. Now, there's just a little statistic here that I want to reiterate, because we mentioned it earlier, that specifically 75% of consumers say they plan to continue supporting small and local businesses who's suffered through the pandemic. So that's really, really encouraging for me for small business. That we all know the devastation that this has caused for small business. So it seems that consumer sentiment is out there to try and help out small business and local business over the next 12 months. And that I was really heartened by that. And I think that's an array of good news in amongst all the stuff out there.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. I agree, 100%.
Yeah. And the other thing too, in the next year, consumer spending will also increase or remain consistent. Now, here's the thing too. I remember a live we did, maybe 12 months ago, Cam, might have even been, when this all started, when things happen, it's not like money suddenly leaves the planet, right? It just shifts. Yeah. And that's the challenge of being in business and being a marketer, is to shift to where the money is. So the consumers are saying they're still going to spend money. It's just a matter of you being aware they're going to spend money. And again, so they were two really good bits of good news out of the survey. That I just kind of, I felt a shot of confidence, if that's the right word, seeing both of those,
Yeah. I mean, you've got there, or that particular statistics talking about traveling, socializing, and eating. Like, once people get freedom again, like they have in Italy, where they're out and about again in countries like that, people are just going to start swarming again to the cafes, in the summertime, and they want to travel again and, go overseas. Like, that'll pick up really quickly.
Yeah. It's a really high percentage. So, good news. How can you leverage that? How can you tap into that is the key thing. And obviously that's a deeper conversation than, we've got time for today. A couple of other things, Cam, there's some more good news. In the next 12 months, consumers are looking to increase spending on, and again, no surprises, the things that they haven't been able to do now: travel, dining out, and entertainment. Interestingly, we mentioned health and fitness before, but notice self-care, wellness, and health and fitness are there too, which again is a positive, because it shows where people's minds are in terms of moving forward.
Yeah, but what I like about those first, probably from left to right, how I'm looking at them is, you've got travel, restaurants, entertainment, self-care, and health fitness. What's interesting about all of those five is that human connection. Like when you think about it, they're all things that people do together. So even self-care, you go and do yoga or classes or get a massage or whatever it is. Entertainment, you go to the movies, right? Restaurants, you go out. And so it's really interesting that, people are looking forward to getting out and doing things en masse together again.
Yeah, if I could sum that up in one word, Cam, it's experience. People want the experience. So
that's right.
In what you're selling, how can you give them the experience? Right, because they want an experience. They want the travel experience, the being wowed, dining out, entertainment. Right, it's about the experience. How can you adjust what you do to give them that experience, because they're going to be out there spending money.
Yeah. Now that's a good point. And you may have a gym at the moment, and the experience could be when lockdown's no longer there and people can go out again. Maybe it's a night out for all of your members. A night out for all of your members at a local restaurant, and you put a big thing on, and everyone pays for their own tickets, but it just creates that wow factor again and connects people together again. And so it's probably a good time to start thinking out of the box and how you can use those things to your advantage.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, it's a marketing thing, what you were talking about there, but it's within the context of the business. It's not something completely different,
totally.
So
yeah,
they often work a lot better, those type of things.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so get set. Here's what's coming. And again, intent does not equal outcome, but while some consumers agree that digital ads are important, most consumers will use online channels to research products. And Cam, as you and I have advocated, multi-channel marketing is important. But look at that, 36% of consumers find online advertising important in finding information. And then 79% of consumers will use an online channel to research information on products and services available. So here is the key takeaway. Your online messaging must be on point. Remember, anyone researching, and they're out there looking, anyone researching has got 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 tabs open in Google or whatever their search engine is at one time, looking for the one thing where they feel home. So, your headline, it must make them feel that, this is the transformation that I'm looking for in 5 to 7 words, thereabouts. How can you make them feel like as soon as they see that, they go, oh, this is worth looking at, or yes, I finally found it, and then your subhead expands on that. So I finally found it. That's the transformation I want, is what you really need to aim for with your online marketing, particularly the headline to your website, because they are out looking, lots of different channels, and they got lots of things open. You've got a really short period of time, 3-5 seconds, to really grab them and get them to look more at what you're doing. So, that's a real get ready message. You've got to make sure your marketing, your messaging is on point.
And I'd probably add to that, Steve, and say that, you should be looking, folks that are listening to this or watching later on, I'd highly recommend taking an omni-channel approach, right? How can you be everywhere at once? So don't just hang your hat, so to speak, on your website, just sitting there on the internet doing its own thing, but adding some content, getting on social media, doing a couple of Facebook Lives, getting on LinkedIn and posting on LinkedIn. Like, where can you be and what can you do? So when people are on those different platforms, you show up.
Yeah, and that segued nicely into the next one, Cam, is that consumers, and that's why I clicked through as you were talking there, consumers plan to shop online and in person equally, meaning brands need to align their online and their offline strategies. And that's the key thing, right? That messaging, like you were saying, must go through every single piece of your marketing, right? They've got to not feel any gaps or disconnect going from online to offline to social media to email to SMS, whatever it might be, right? That it must all be aligned to capture. And if you look at that last column there, now, they're equally going to be physically between shopping live and in person and online. Okay, so again, it must be aligned, every single thing that you're doing, because they're going to get back out there again, if the US is any indication.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. A couple of other things, Cam, in a get ready kind of sense. The bar graphs on the right, they prefer to see advertising that you can see the 50% there on safe, reputable sites, relevant to the content being consumed. And again, that gets back to what I just mentioned a minute ago about it all fitting in nicely. The interesting one for me, though, is this one here. They prefer to see advertising that is featuring promotional or discount messaging. Isn't that interesting? So what's old is new again, Cam. Direct response marketing is not dead.
That's right. That's right.
So the old loss leader kind of thing, a discount to get in the door to become a client for life or for years, that is not dead and it's not going anywhere. And
human psychology hasn't changed.
It has not,
ever. Right.
Yeah. And interesting too, the next one underneath that, highlighting a brand's commitment to advocacy. That's for, fair trade products and all those sorts of things. Whilst it's high, it doesn't trump self-interest.
No, that's right.
So it's important, but it's not a determining factor. It's kind of a feel-good, or almost a clincher kind of thing, but not the main thing.
That's
not
right,
saying
yeah.
don't, but just saying that people are looking for promotional or discounts, when they're out there. They're saying that they respond to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Cam, and that's just about it. That's a quick wrap and a quick summary of pandemic pandemonium, how consumer trends will change. Cam, any last comments or questions from you?
No, that was great, Steve. So really, really good. We'll just make sure that for folks that want to get in contact with you and get some help with their marketing, what do they got to do next?
Yeah, sure, Cam. So just go to, if you do want help with your messaging, book yourself in for a marketing calibration call. It's complimentary, no obligation, 30 minutes with me, one-on-one. Just go to my website, www.symmetrymarketing.com.au, and you'll see all the details there about reaching out and contacting me. And I'm happy to provide you with 30 minutes for you to pick my brain and me to give you some ideas about how you can move forward to get your messaging on point to take advantage of these trends that are coming. So there we go, Cam.
Excellent. Very good.
I'll stop sharing so I can see where we actually are. And has that?
That looks good.
Okay, there we go. We're back
Perfect.
on. Good.
Back on.
Now
so we'll make sure we'll put that link down in the comments section for anyone that's interested. So if you're watching this later on, just pop down in the comments section and take up Steve's kind offer to speak with him about your marketing. So I'd highly recommend that you do that.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thanks, folks.
That's a wrap.
To see you again.
Thanks very much, Steve. Appreciate that.
Pleasure, Cam.
And we'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah, on the Bookface.
Right. Yeah, on the Bookface.
Yeah. All right.
Cheers, everyone.
See you later.
Steve. Bye.